Alright guys, well I'm back today with an overview of the brand new Rock River Arms BT-2 Operator ATR. This is new for 2024 and it's a billet upper and lower with a combination of ambidextrous parts, a really nice barrel, and an overall great fit and finish. Now I actually tried Rock River Arms as my very first AR. I bought it used from a gun shop probably about 14 years ago and fell in love with the quality and performance. A few years after that, I got to shoot a few others at some mil-cert rifle matches and again just was impressed by the quality. But since then, I really haven't shot any Rock River Arms since I started the YouTube channel. So when we started talking on Instagram and a few other places, they decided to send out one of their latest versions to the channel for me to try. And I'm really glad they did because it's nice to see some of the new revamped models. If you're interested in some of their older styles, which I still think are absolutely awesome, there are also more information on their site, and you can find some of that information on the campsite page or just search Rock River Arms. A lot of guys have been also asking for some more elevated rifles, some more top tier and mid tier rifles, and this would definitely fall into the top tier category, especially with all the feature sets and the MSRP of right around $16.90. So not the cheapest out there, but again, when you're comparing this with other rifles that have the features, fit and finish, and quality components, it's right on par, and it's definitely a good value if it's something you're looking for. The next thing I want to discuss is Callaway Ballistics, a huge supporter of the channel and today's channel sponsor for sending out the ammo. These guys also have a code 704TACTICAL for 5% off and free shipping on orders over $200, and it's some of the best high-value 223 you can possibly get right now, especially after my discount code. Again, more information in the description. Now, we're going to break this review into a few different parts, and first we're just really going to talk about the specs and features because there's a lot to dissect. This is not your average basic AR. From there, we're going to talk about performance and again, just the track record and history of Rock River Arms in general, both with my just overview of it, as well as kind of talking with other people's experience shooting Rock River over the years. Let's start from the front and work our way to the back. And right off the bat, you were looking at a standard A2 birdcage flash hider. Nothing fancy, but what is attached to is pretty cool. Now, what you're looking at is a 16-inch, kind of a lightweight style barrel. It's not pencil barrel, don't get me wrong, but this is also chrome lined, which is very convenient for that corrosion resistance and longevity. And it also has a 1-in-9 twist. Now, the 1-in-9 twist seems to do pretty good, and for a 16-inch barrel, it functions great with basic 55 grain and 62 grain, so it's a good twist rate. A lot of guys are moving to 1-in-8 and 1-in-7, but the 1-in-9 still holds its own, especially with that lighter weight ammo. And honestly, I shot a few different variations of ammo at distance, and it shot great, but more about that in the performance section of the review. Now, this appears to be a carbine length gas system when compared to one of my other mid-length gas systems, but they don't actually say on the site. That's one thing about Rock River I wish they would kind of update a little bit more, is give me more detailed specs and features. I don't know the exact barrel steel used. I can't really find it, but I know it's chrome lined and I know it's a good shooting barrel, and it does have that carbine length gas system. And under the gas system section, it says it's a low profile gas block, and it is fairly low profile, but it's surrounded by this new updated rail system. Now, this M-LOK rail system is pretty slick. It's got a QD slot at the end, a monolithic pick rail across the top, which I love for attaching pressure pads and things like that, and M-LOK slots on the sides and bottom, and I attach that little AFG right there, and it seems to be working out good. Now, this is a very skeletonized rail system, but it seems very structurally sound. It also locks up very nice in the back. And the way it bolts up, it doesn't have this massive attachment point right here. And it's been rock solid, so no issues there. It's not my favorite rail system in the world, but it does a really good job. Some things I would recommend, or some things I would like to see in a more premium rail system like this, when you're talking about an MSRP of $1,700, would be an extra QD slot right here. A lot of guys are running their 2-point slings back a little bit further, and maybe some steel inserts like Geisley is doing. Granted, a lot of the Geisley uppers themselves are $1,600 for just the upper. So when you're comparing it to some other top tier ARs in the market, there could be some room room for improvements on the rail system, but overall this rail system is absolutely solid. Where the upper and lower start to shine though is in its interface and how it interfaces with the user. This is completely ambidextrous. Everything from the very nice charging handle, which I'm going to show you guys right here, which is the Radian Raptor, my absolute favorite charging handle, and that comes standard on this build. From the mag release is actually ambidextrous on both sides. So the standard mag release right here. Then when you flip it over, you get the opposing mag release. And this interface actually works great. There's no issues. It's protected with this raised section that has been left as an island during the machining process. And then you also have the bolt catch and bolt release, which is an oversized panel, but also protected in the machining process. And this is the advantages of running billet. You can set up the programming to protect a lot of those things to still allow them to be accessed easily without accidentally being bumped. When you flip it around to the other side, you can also see right here, you've got the bolt catch and bolt release, and you have an ambidextrous safety. I immediately take those off, which is actually pretty cool that you can take those off because it digs into my finger when I shoot. This was a little bit long for my taste, but it's cool because you can remove that if you don't want it. And if you do want it, you can have that there. Now, again, let's talk about some of the advantages of the billet and the fact that Rock River took full advantage of custom machining these lowers. Now, they have an enhanced trigger guard, which actually flows very nicely, no sharp edges, and all of the edges are kind of chamfered and very smooth. This allows for gloved fingers, and it works out pretty good. It also has a flared mag well, which allows you to insert the mags with ease and does a great job. And those are those nice touches that you can't get on a standard AR, and they're really hard to add later on in life, so it's nice that it's already built in and it does the job great. I could see this being a great base platform to start for a competition gun. It also has QD slots milled into the back of the receiver itself, either for single point sling attachment or dual point sling attachment, which is pretty cool. A lot of times I'll run the sling on the stock like you see here, but it will sort of get in the way when I'm quickly shouldering the rifle. So moving that up here actually keeps the sling away from the stock, but it does mean you got to run your sling a little bit longer because now it has to loop back around your shoulder and up here rather than starting there. So something to consider, but it's nice to have options. That's why I'm surprised there's not a QD slot right here because they've added them everywhere else. Now moving along to the overall just performance and interface with the user, all of the controls are ergonomic, easy to use, no sharp edges, very easy to manipulate, and no accidental bumpages or discharges or things like that when it comes to the bolt catch, bolt release, or mag release. This does feature a two-stage trigger, and it's a very nice, what I would call kind of like combat style two-stage trigger. It's not so light that it's purely a competition trigger, and it's not so heavy that you don't get any advantages of having that. So let's take a look at it right here. You have one of the smoothest take-ups I've ever felt on a two-stage trigger, which is great because you can really pull through that first stage like it's not even there for quick shots in succession. But if you want to stage the trigger for distance shooting, you have that smooth take-up and then a nice break. Again, not the lightest trigger I've ever felt, but perfect for kind of a jack of all trades trigger. Whether you're using this for competition, quick shots, double taps, clearing corners and just dumping rounds, or whether you're staging it at a distance to take your shots one at a time and really stretching the performance out with this rifle, this is a good option. Now, the grip itself and the furniture on this is another nice setup. Now, this is kind of like classic Rock River to me. This reminds me heavily, and wouldn't be surprised if it's an OEM, Hogue grip. These are very comfortable, but I've kind of went away from Hogue grips. Not a big deal. You can swap these out with ease, and it's actually a very nice grip. But I'm just running the B5 system stuff. Now, the stock on this is pretty darn nice. It's got the QD slots on the rear, sort of a sloping cheek well, not very large, very easy to control and manipulate, sling attachments everywhere you want them, and a nice rubberized butt pad, which is nice. If you wanted to sit it on the ground, it's not going to slide around. Also has some good texturing right there. Now let's talk about the performance of this rifle, because we've already covered, man, this thing is feature packed, it's feature loaded, and it's really punching above its weight class when it comes to some of the features. But let's talk about that performance, starting with the overall reliability and ejection pattern of the rounds. Running the Callaway Ballistics ammo, AAC ammo, and a few other companies' ammos, it cycled great. No function issues right out of the box. I didn't have to oil it. I mean, it just was chugging along. The ejection pattern was fairly consistent with the Callaway Ballistics ammo, and the ejection pattern was pretty good. Now, even with the carbine length gas system, I'm kind of preferential to the mid-length gas systems on rifles, but the carbine length gas system was gassed incredibly correctly with this rifle. It was not overgassed by any means, and it ran every ammo I shot through it across the board without any issues. I started taking this out to distance, right to about 145 yards, shot it, and it was plenty accurate. At 100 yards, it was dropping them in right at an inch with the Callaway Ballistics ammo, so no worries there about accuracy and performance of the Rock River. I actually, again, originally started with the Rock River Arms 16-inch barrel M4 style setup and was shooting Milsurp rifle matches at 300 yards. And other than the fact that the 223 is pretty weak at 300 and 400 yards when it comes to impacts and knocking over steel, which was the object of the match, the Rock River really performed well, and it still performs well today. And that's the one thing about Rock River I've seen over the years is the quality, craftsmanship, and care that they put into their rifles is amazing. I've never heard a single complaint about a Rock River rifle failing or having issues too soon or unduly. I mean, they just run great, and I've always had positive experiences. So I'll continue to update you guys on the performance of this rifle, and overall it just balances well, it handles well, and it runs well. And I hope this gives you an understanding of what Rock River Arms is in 2024, and I'm really hoping to try out some of their other rifles. If you're getting into the old school stuff like me, I'm going to throw out a quick rifle that I would like you guys to take a look at, and I'm hoping to grab one out to the channel. It's actually the Assurance UTE carbine in their LAR 15M line, and it actually has their rear sight milled into their upper receiver with the fixed front sight post. That thing looks absolutely awesome. So just a little tidbit of info and what I'm hoping to grab next. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Rock River Arms for sending this out to the channel so we could finally get one of their more modern and updated ARs. Have a good one.